First of all, I want to give credit to Minnesota for playing a very good basketball game. We're thankful to have Shug Dixon back in the lineup. Um, so you play on the road with only having two practices, well, not really a practice, with two players practicing in the games, in practice. And then you play a game at Purdue without your starting point guard, and you play without one of your best players, and you play a very good game against them, but you lose it down the stretch in the second. You lose it down the stretch in the second half. In the first half, you don't play very well, and we saw the same thing tonight. Shug, Awa, all the kids were coming back. They still haven't gotten into a rhythm yet, and we played bad in the first half. And then once they got their legs underneath them, we played better in the second half. Hopefully, with this, we have to take tomorrow off because of the NCAA. But hopefully Saturday we can get a good practice in again, so they can start getting their legs underneath them, so we can play better in the first half. Both games we played great in the second half and executed very well and got to the shots that we wanted to get to in both games. But we got to do a better job of playing in the first half. And I think that's from being away from the game, being at home, dealing with the COVID situation. They still haven't gotten their legs underneath them for basketball. They've gotten their legs underneath them to live life, but they haven't gotten their legs underneath them to play basketball games. So hopefully we'll work through it. We know it's a challenge. It's just a challenge in today's life right now with COVID. And we hope that we can get back on the court and get to some practicing and get through this process so we can get better. But overall, I was pleased with our second half. I was extremely disappointed with our first half, but I do understand what we got to do to get it fixed.
What about Minnesota's offense, especially the three-point shooting, made them tough to stop early? And what did you figure out, because they didn't shoot as well in the second half?
Honestly, we started executing on the defensive end. In the first half, we didn't execute because of their shooting. We thought that we needed to make different plays, and we didn't. We just needed to stay with our base that we had talked about. And then in the second half, after we came out from in halftime, we talked to them about you can't leave that spot. You got to stay in the lane. So when the drive comes, you can stop the drive. So now we'll X out on the shooters. And in the second half, we stayed to that. And once we stayed to that, they couldn't get in the lanes. And once they couldn't get in the lane, it's hard to kick out to a shooter because you don't have no shooter to pass it to. In the first half, they got in the lane. And then when they got into the lane, we had to come really to help. And then they was able to make passes. So I thought once our players understood that we don't have to rush out, just stay in the lane and protect the basket, then you will stop the kickouts. But first half we didn't do it. And then in the second half, when everybody calmed down and said, okay, we're not going to change. We're gonna be fine if we stay with it. And then in the second half, we executed on our switches, and we executed when they drove in. We was there, so we stopped the drive. And once you stop the drive, you can't kick to shooters.
Coach, down the stretch, you kind of struggled to finish off some of the plays inside. I know that we were talking about that before the game. I know that some of those shots, just for whatever reason, even if you work on them in practice, sometimes they go in, sometimes they just don't drop. But what are some of the things that you're going to try to work on during practice to make sure that you can execute and finish some of those plays inside down the stretch in a game like this?
We're going to keep shooting. That's what I'm saying. So hopefully we have to, I really wish we didn't have to take off tomorrow. Because we could get in the gym and start working. But we have to take off because of the NCAA rules. I wish there was a way we could get a waiver because we've been away from the court so long. It's hard to make shots when you don't have your legs underneath you. And so we're going to have to do a very good job on Saturday, trying to get ready for a tough Michigan team to try to make shots. I mean, so when you look at the shots, we're open. We just got to be able to make the shot and knock them down. But you got to have your legs to be able to do that. So when you sprint and you chop it down and you're going to take a shot and your legs are not there, now you're shooting with all arms, and then that's a problem. But hopefully we can get through Saturday and get a good practice in on Saturday, and so hopefully we can get better.
Also, one of the bright spots for tonight was China Cornwall's play. I know that she came off of the bench. She had a really nice night or nice afternoon against Purdue on Sunday, and she kind of followed up her performance in that. Have you seen her continue to improve, because she
Yes.
seemed to have more confidence on the floor?
She's hungry. She plays within herself. Like there was one play in the first half when she tried to make a play on the block, and she turned it over. And when she came over, I said, China, you don't have to do that for us to be successful. Get on the backside and rebound, and you'll get yours. And so and that's what I like about China. The next pass, the next possession, we threw it into her. She kicked it out. We went to a dribble and we shot it, but she rebounded on the backside again. So she's hungry to be successful, and she's really doing a very good job for us on the backside. And we needed to continue to do that. We got to find a way to give her more minutes because she's being productive when she's had those minutes that she's been in the game. But again, in order to play a lot of minutes, you got to get in shape. And when you've been away from the court, it's difficult to be there. But we'll manage it, and we'll handle the challenge, and our kids will get better as we go.
No, don't jump in.
Yeah, I was just saying, one, as we're going through a new phase, when we thought we were going to be through all of this, I was thinking, what was, between the two seasons, what was, of course, because at least you're playing that. Last year, you sat out forever.
35 days. It was on a pause for 35 days last time. Okay.
Whereas at least where a lot of other guys are getting shut down, you are getting some games in.
Well, I think that what we have to understand is that as our country go through this, we're going through a pandemic. And so that's why we can't make excuses about who's playing and who's not playing, because the idea of it is that we have to fight through this. As a society, we got to fight through this situation. We all have to buckle down and fight through COVID. We can't give up on it, so we got to press on. We got to be diligent. We got to respect it, but we also got to press on. And so that's why it's a challenge for us on the basketball court. But the good thing about it is that we're actually getting to play like you're talking about. Our kids are pressing on through it. Now, that doesn't help for winning and losing because we're pressing on, but we want to win. So now we got to get them in the shape they need to be, and hopefully we don't have another pause that we won't be in shape when we need to. So we have a tough game against Michigan, and then we have a week off, a week before we play another game. So we really got to work through getting in shape, and we can't afford to have another pause because we got to get them better.
No, I think it may have correlated from up here, but just watching from above the Fed is, as opposed to the others, like some of these other comebacks you made, once you got it going, you was assertive. But these guys just seem to get a lot of key rebounds at times with the missed shots. And,
They did.
you know, and a lot of answers to keep them just enough ahead to kind of make it like a carrot and stick.
And I think that goes from, it's deflating, like you talked about, when you miss a wide open layup. We had a wide open layup to cut it to 5. We missed it. We had an open jumper to cut it to 3. We missed it. And it's almost like it takes the air out of the room when you know that's a shot that you can make. And then you have to come back on the other end and tough it out to play the defense. And Minnesota did a great job of coming right back at us. We missed a layup. They came right back. They got a foul. We missed a 3-point shot. They came right back at us and drove us. So it's deflating when that happens, but we got to figure out a way to continue to manage that, because one thing you always can do is play defense. You can't promise the shot's going to be there, but you can always defend. But you got to be able to have short-term memory to play great defense. And if you're still worrying about the shot that you just missed, your short-term memory is not there.
Anything else from you, Tim?
You good? Well, I just think that, we're happy that people showed up for the game. We know they got to go through a lot of changes to come, but we're looking forward to pressing forward, and I think we play back here on next Sunday, and we got a tough game at Michigan, and looking forward to being back here next Sunday in the JMA. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tim.